How's it going, guys? Nick, all the Ozark Angler here. It's Friday and the Costa Series is going on right now. I'm seeing a bunch of the wrap boats heading back towards PB2. It's about 2 o'clock and I'm out here on the water. I've had numerous questions from all kinds of people asking about what are wave breaks, especially when I talk about them in my videos. Well, I guess I'd take the time now and explain to several of the viewers that, you know, a lot of people just don't know what a wave break is. They don't live on a lake like Lake of the Ozarks. It's a recreational lake that's loaded with 30, 40, 50, even several 60-foot cruisers that throw off a massive wake that destroys docks and does all that. So what is a wave break? A wave break is a structure piece put in to prevent large damaging waves from hitting docks. And what they do is the wave will hit the wave break and dissipate instead of hitting the dock and beating it up. So here is an example. Right here is an example of a wave break, and it's protecting behind. You see these waves hitting it right here, but there's nothing on the backside protecting those docks. And unfortunately, the wave break might have been put in a little too late because those docks look pretty beat up, or the wave break just isn't big enough. Now, all around the lake, there are wave breaks on restaurant docks or main lake docks, or people with a nice stretch of docks that get together and they put in a long wave break to protect their investment, which is their docks and their boats. And that's really important because some of these waves can do a lot of damage. But the next thing is, I get a lot of people asking me, how do you fish these? Well, that's really easy. There's several different ways you can fish wave breaks. For the most part, Kentuckys are what will suspend around wave breaks. Certain wave breaks on this lake will hold different fish at different times of the year. Sometimes you'll get on a wave break expecting to catch a couple Kentuckys, and before you know it, you're catching a 4.5-pound largemouth and having a good day. Because when you come up to a wave break, you're expecting to catch a Kentucky. You catch anything bigger than 2 pounds, that is a bonus fish. So, with that being said, a lot of people will probably be thinking, well, why would I even fish a wave break if they're not big fish? Well, for example, you've got 3 solid fish in the boat. You need to get a limit. You know you need a limit to either survive or make it day 2 or whatever it may be. You pull up to a wave break with a little bit of wind on it, just like this one is, and you can probably catch yourself a 12 to 13-inch Kentucky, which is a win. So when you need to do that, and that's what you have to do to get that limit, then do it. It makes you feel more confident once you get a limit, and it's sometimes you pull up there and get lucky and get a big one. So let's get at it. Let's catch some fish off these wave breaks, and I'll talk you guys through what I'm focusing on, and let's have a good time today. Now, the first bait I'm going to use, I'm going to start with a small swim bait. It doesn't really matter the size as long as you don't go super big. You want to stay 3.5 to 4 inch, and I throw mine on a 1/4 ounce. You can go 3/8 if you want, but any kind of small swim bait, even a drop shot, will work really well. So let's start with the swim bait, see if we can't catch one off of this wave break. Like I was saying, every now and then you can pull up, catch a bonus. There's a small keeper largemouth off that wave break. It's nothing giant, but it would help your bag if you had 4 fish. There we go. And so I just happened to cast away from the wave break for a second. Saw the wind blowing really strong in that corner of that dock. A little guy. Definitely nothing to brag about. What do you think, Fearless Fish Licker? You think not quite a keeper, is he? Now, one of the key factors as far as fishing these wave breaks or the corner of the docks or these old, old community docks or restaurant docks is you're looking for wind. You want that wind blowing onto it, or directly at it. At this angle, the wind's kind of blowing straight across the back side of it, and that's why that fish is sitting right here. The wind's hitting me right in the face, and they'll sit right underneath the corners of these. Okay, so now we've caught a couple on the swim bait. Now let's try the spinnerbait. The spinnerbait's a really good bait along these two. And the best way to fish these is if you can get right down the side of them and fish right underneath the very bottom of it. And those fish, they sit right underneath it. There's little holes under there. And they'll get in there and just wait for bait fish or anything to swim up underneath or get pushed in by the wind, and then they'll ambush it. A spinnerbait will generally catch a little bit bigger fish than the small swim bait, but nonetheless, they're both effective. So you've been fishing these for a while, and you keep getting hung up, and you keep breaking off, and you're like, what the heck is going on here? Well, what's going on is these wave breaks aren't just held here, you know, by a pole way down in the bottom. They're actually held in by chains and cables. And when you see these little blocks right here, that's where a chain or a cable has a winch inside of that. That's an access panel to a winch. And what you can do is they pull them off and they tighten it down if it gets loose or whatever. So these come out towards the boat and away from the boat, depending on how you're positioned. They go away and they hold the wave break in place. So if you're getting hung up, what it means is you're fishing it a little too deep. You need to bring her up just a hair, go a little bit less deep. You know, you only need to fish these 2-3 foot deep, unless you find a school of fish sitting underneath there. If you find a school sitting down about 13-14 foot, the best thing to do is throw a drop shot right on top of them, or cast short casts between the two cables, and you can tell either there's a winch way up here or there's an access panel. So if you need to get deep, what you do is you cast between the two access panels, let your lure sink down a little bit, then you start your retrieve. But for the most part, these fish will be suspended right underneath the concrete where the bottom of the float is. And that's where you'll get your bites, and most of the bites occur on the ends where the roughest water is. Like I said, out there on the roughest part of the water is where you're gonna get bit. It's a little guy fighting like a Kentucky. Oh yeah, little Kentucky. So now there's a fish on a spinnerbait. Let's throw him back. And now another bait that works is a weightless worm. You know, a trick worm or a fluke or just any kind of weightless worm. With a lot of pressure right now, I don't know if I'll get bit on it. It's kind of rough. A weightless worm's better when it's calm. You want to throw like a rattle trap or a spinnerbait or a swim bait on this rougher water. But a weightless worm does work. And a lot of times you'll feel them swim with it, or you'll watch your line just start running. And you'll know, just set the... So I wasn't getting bit on these wave breaks. I think they've been pounded this year, or this week, by all the Costa guys, and went from one wave break over to the corner of this dock, caught a fish. So, but that'll be a different video, talking about fishing docks in the wind with spinner baits and stuff like that. But for the time being, you guys have a great day. I'm gonna get back to fishing, and I'll see you next time on the water.